Hello, I'm Bert Yule. I'm the editor of Pro Detailer magazine, and this is Ian Seeley, who's our features editor. If you read issue 6 that came out in December, our JDM special edition, you will have seen a little box in the new features section, new products section, which was a screen grab from a video on Facebook about a new battery-powered flex polisher. And then lo and behold,
yeah, a couple of weeks ago, had a nice phone call from Richard, who's the southern area rep for Flex UK, telling me that the new cordless machines are coming out. So you've got a new cordless version of the XFE and a cordless version of the rotary. Lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, 2 lovely boxes show up on the door. So
we thought what we would do is open and unpack these in front of the camera. I'm pretty sure it's fairly exclusive. I know there are some videos out there, but this one is going to be a little bit of a testing as well. We're going to put some of the claims and technical stuff there, and we're going to go through some of the geeky stuff for those into it. So all that's left now really is to have a look what we've been given in these rather nice boxes. Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
Huh? That's unfair.
I don't know why they put that in there.
Oh, stupid. So, looking in here, I've got a thingamajiggles. Now, the one thing is the other battery-powered machine that came out in recent years is the iBrid Nano from Rupes. Now, these are different. These are very nearly full-size machines. This is the rotary. And as you can see, it looks pretty much like their PE-150 standard rotary. It's a bit thinner, it's nice and light, but it's got one of them, a socket for a battery. And looking in here, ooh, lots of other things. But I've got a 2.5 amp hour battery, and I believe there's a bigger one as well.
Yep, you've got the 5 amp hour battery here, which is, put them side by side, surprisingly about twice the size of the 2.5 amp battery.
Well, I have to admit, I've looked at the spec here, and technically from a weight point of view, this is 0.72 of a kilogram, and this is 0.42. There's lots of really interesting geeky information in this booklet. I might steal this for some bedtime reading, if that's all right at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so we've got the 2 machines, and this one here, this is the XFE. So this is a, it's a DA. What's the throw on these? I can't remember.
They are the long throw rotary. So the XFE comes with both the 5 and the 6-inch backing plate on there, changeable with just 3 Torx bolts. So it's nice and easy to change over.
Cool. And do you know what the oscillation is on this?
They're 15mm throw on those, aren't they?
15mm throw. So that's comparable to a Rupes LHR15, but obviously it has the battery power. Now the batteries themselves are really cool. There's a charger somewhere around here, isn't there?
Oh yes.
What I've noticed is you've got a changeable filter on the bottom here. Not entirely sure what it's for, but it's really cool. And these literally clunk and click. If you read the manual, they spell click C-L-I-C, but apart from that, it's a fascinating manual. And then once you've got that battery, and you'll see it's kind of put at right angles to the machine. And they're a very neat little thing. You can actually feel the torque just turning it on. I don't even know if this is fully charged or not.
Or do you want to pass that over here?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get the battery out. Just show you the charger as well. Charger's quite nifty. So the charging times on these batteries for the 2.5 amp hour is around about 30 minutes to fully charge. For the 5 amp hour is around about 50 minutes to fully charge. This translates over to about 20 minutes or 40 minutes usage depending on the speed you're using the tool, the load, etc. That changes over to the rotary for...
well, on the rotary, what's interesting is this actually lasts less on the same batteries. So on the smaller 2.5 amp hour battery, and they're all 18 volt batteries, but the 2.5 amp one runs for about 15 minutes, give or take, and then 30 minutes on the bigger 5 amp hour battery. One thing we've got, let you into a little secret here, obviously this is a kind of a pre-release version, so there are bits and bobs, but I just want to show you the inside of my box. And what you'll see is it's got holes for lots of pads and thingamajiggles like that. So we suspect there'll be various.
There is a deluxe kit that they are producing, which is going to have all of the. It's going to have the 3 pads, I think, the purple, orange, purple, green, and red pads, and a variety of polishes that go along with them. That's what I was told originally by Richard. So until we actually see them, we can't confirm it, but that's the plan.
Yeah, and they're very well produced. I have to admit, these boxes are pretty damn cool. And these machines, they feel hunky. They don't feel much lighter. I mean, without the battery, they feel no lighter, I think, than the mains ones. But they're well balanced. And what we're going to do now is go down and have a play, really, and just see what they're like to use. We're going to do a little bit of battery testing. Obviously, these are fairly new batteries, so you know, they might not have been sort of fully worked in, but it'll give us a good idea whether the claims are true. And one thing to bear in mind is that Flex Tools, outside of the detailing world, they're a massive, great big company that do tools for all sorts of people, sort of carpenters and builders and all the rest of it, and they've got a lot more experience than some, let's say, in battery technology. So I suspect what's really going to set these apart is the battery. It's going to make or break it, because if the battery lasts well and gives the power that you need, it means no more wires. It means you don't need, from a detailing point of view, it gives you extra flexibility. But then if the batteries turn out to be a bit rubbish, then the whole tool is more or less redundant. So
the other thing to remember is these batteries are going to work across the flex range as well. So you can buy a lot of other bare tool units from them, things like lights. You can even buy a heated jacket from them, I believe, using the same batteries on there. So you're not cluttered around with lots of different batteries eating up your workspace.
So speed-wise, this rotary, this PE-150, goes from 900 revs a minute on setting 1 through 6 different settings, and on the top setting of 6, it does 1450 RPM.
And looking at the XFE, this one now goes from 4,600 RPM, or OPM rather I should say, up to 7,600, and that's a difference from the XFE corded machine, which started at 3,000, went all the way up to 9,000. So I'm wondering if this is actually going to improve the problems that they had with the vibrations in the mid-section with the XFE.
And I do like the build of these. It feels like a finished product. I know these are actually built, where some products, they might be assembled in Germany, but or at least parts of them are made, but they're not necessarily all made in Germany. These ones, I believe, really are all made in Germany.
From what I understand, yes.
And I have to admit, the quality really shows here.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to go over and have a look at the production at Flex a little bit later on. We've been talking to our man Richard, who's been talking to his bosses, and we'll hopefully be going over there later in the year to have a look around and see these things being built.
Well, if they let me into Germany, that'd be awesome.
Excellent.
Cool. Well, let's go and give these a go now, and we'll report back with some findings. So, Ian, you've had a chance to play around with these two things, and I noticed you were changing the batteries as well on them while you were playing with them, not because they'd run out, but because just trying the different weights. Yeah, really interesting actually. With the 2.5, it almost felt like the XFE didn't quite have as much go in it. Once changed over to the 5 amp hour battery, it really put a lot more torque through it, started cutting a lot better, and you could actually put a little bit of pressure on it and make it work harder for its money. Also noticed with the XFE, because it's got this smaller range, the top speed didn't feel as aggressive as you did on the corded one. You also lost a lot of the vibration that it seemed to have picked up on the corded test we did before. We said, you know, we was getting really bad vibrations in there. I think the first one we had through, our hand was really hurting the first time we used it, and then we've got a couple more machines a little bit later batches, and it started to even out. So they've obviously done something to balance it out a bit better. However, when I went over to use the rotary, tried it originally with the 18 volt thing, a bit more torque, it's going to need that. You mean with the 5 volt?
Yeah,
I mean
sorry.
With the 5 ampere. The weird thing is that both these batteries provide the same amount of voltage and supposedly the same amount of current, and it's purely the capacity, the amperes, but actually here, the bigger one seemed to have more push in it on the higher setting.
Yes.
But then the rotary, you were saying that by fitting the lighter one, it was actually a much nicer machine to use, more balanced.
Absolutely, yeah. With the slightly heavier 5 amp hour battery on there, I did feel like it was actually pulling me down a lot more. It's something you could probably get used to quite easily, but just by switching over to the 2.5 amp hour battery made the whole machine a lot more balanced, a lot easier to use, and you could just guide it like you would a corded one. It was absolutely no issue there.
So basically, in summary, if you've got the rotary, use the smaller battery. If you've got the XFE, you'd use a bigger battery, just in terms of the ease of use. And in terms of actual efficiency, so to speak, did they cut as they would a normal corded one?
Yeah, absolutely, cut perfectly. Haven't had any issues with power drain yet. We've only been using them for about sort of 10-15 minutes, but they hadn't noticeably gone down, as it were, like you did have with a lot of the other corded machines.
They have a power meter on, which is quite cool. So this one, we're down to 2 dots out of 4 on this one.
Yeah, and the 18 did start on full charge. Admittedly, we didn't fully charge that one, but that's still at full bars. So yeah, we're going to do a no-load test on it, just see how long these last under full charge.
Yeah, we're going to do more. That's all going to appear in the magazine, which is going to be issue 7 coming out in July.
Yep, just for wax stock.
And we'll put all the stats and stuff on paper so that everybody can read it by then. And I think these are supposed to be coming out fairly soon. But
they're supposed to be available mid-March, but now it is now end of March. I haven't actually seen any up for sale yet, although a lot of stockists are taking pre-orders for them. So they do exist. They are in the country. There are only 2 of these in the country at the moment, but I know a lot more are coming over. So in the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing more and more of them advertised.
Certainly the likes of Clean and Shiny and Ultimate Finish will have these in fairly quick time, I suspect. And the answer is, from our sort of initial investigation, is that they're good. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with them.
No, absolutely. They're comfortable to handle. They've got enough torque for doing the job. They don't seem to be bogging down on battery power. Yeah, so far so good.
And there's nothing really to compare them to apart from the corded siblings. So if you're after a cordless polisher, this is the only one, but handy.
Well, there is the likes of Milwaukee out there.
Oh,
they do a cordless polisher. I think they only do a rotary though, and a lot of people who've used them say the batteries do run out quite quickly, although I haven't used one personally, so I can't comment either way on that.
Gotcha. So yeah, they're one of the only options, but thankfully they're a good option.
Yes.